Hi friends, welcome to WebCham. So in this video, I am going to discuss what are the collection functions in Power Automate. Okay, so when you are working with the cloud flows, so what kind of functions are supported? We will discuss that and how to use those functions with the collections to perform the different types of operations. So this is what important when you are working with object, or you may be working with string, and you may be working with array. So we have three different types of collections, right? So first, it could be array, it could be string, it could be object. So collection, I what I did is I created a one collection type object. So this is like just array, and it houses objects, right? So object is nothing but key and value pair type data. So we have objects here. String, if you ask me, so this is what the string, right? Okay, fine. So I created a three objects here. So let me add a few more, and let me say copy, give the comma. Okay, so to look it better, I will do like this, and I will add. Okay, so one, two, three. Again, this one is added. So I will say this is Charu, and this is like, okay, whatever the number of years of age is there. Okay, so I'll just say two. These are the random data sets. So I picked this one. Okay, then next name is like Pulse, and okay, so I will say BTech, and age is like any random age. Okay, 30. So this is how I have a data in the form of object. So here we object meaning, see, we have an array of objects, and inside that we have string. So all the types of collections are available with us to see the formulas. Okay, okay. Now what we can do is to see the output, to get the output of previous step, we will use compose. So here you will be able to see the output. Compose is the only step that you can see after running this flow. You will be able to see the input and output for this compose. Okay, so whatever the functions, you can apply the different types of functions on your data sets. You can apply the different types of uh, like operations here in the compose to store the result. Compose is just going to hold the result, whatever the kind of operations you will perform on the data, and that can be used in further flow. Okay, so here I'm at a compose. Okay, so first of all, I will go to the collection. Okay, so if I go to the collection function, so I have an array. Okay, I have an array. So let me search for the collection here. If you search, it will give the collections, right? Collection, all the functions that are associated with the collection. There is something called reverse. If I use this function and if I pass the collection, whatever the collection I have, okay, so we don't have anything called a collection here. So we have data, right? So what it does, it will just reverse the order. First row will be last row, meaning first object will be the last object will be the first. And this is useful when you are working with the arrays, right? To sort the list. This is not actually sorting, to reverse the list of values. Okay, so here you will be able to see in my data set, this pulse was lastly added, but it is now showing in the different order, right? So if I show you the input, so here you can see this Brahma Bachute is the first, and pulse is the last. If you go and if you see what it has done, what the reverse function has done, so it brings the last object as a first object as a last. That's the thing. Okay, then you may want to sort the data, sort in ascending order, sort in descending order, whatever you want to do. If it is a values, direct values of list of direct values, it will be good to use the sort. But we will see then another collection function here. Okay, let me go down to the collections. I will search for the collection. Okay, I am pretty much down. So we saw the first function, that is reverse. Then there is something called length. What it does, say again, you can apply this function. Okay, here the definition you can see, collection in a reverse order. Any type of collection will be there for the reverse, but for the length you can use array or string. That's it. So here we are using an array. So instead of that, I will say length. Right. And I will say save. And then I'll run the flow. So you will be able to see number of elements in my data set or in my collection. Right. So I have 6 elements or 6 objects in my array. So this is how the functions can be used. So let me try the another function. Okay, collection length we saw. Sort. If you ask me sort, you can return an array sorted in ascending order. So this is going to work on the array. So here, if you say sort, it is not going to ask for anything else. So it is going to sort the array. How it sorts, we don't know. It sorts in ascending order. That's it. What the information we can pass. If you run this, you will see the sorted arrow. Reverse the collection. We saw sometime before that reverse is something that we use. Then there is something called a contains. Okay, this is used to check if any key. See, we have in dictionary. In dictionary, we have a key and value pair data. If an array contains a value or if a string, meaning you can use contains with anything, right? So I would like to use this with the dictionary. Okay, because array we don't have value in the array, right? So I can simply say contains. Then I will pass variable here, but variable of, or I can say first element of the array, that is object. And then in that I would like to check for the name, whether the name key is exist or not, right? If it is a direct array, you do not need to, since this is object, I'm just slicing or getting the part of array. So it depends on how your data structure is there, meaning wherever you are doing this kind of things. Based on that, you will have to change the functions. You will have to change the formula. It says true. True meaning the name parameter is exist. If I come here, input, you can see this name is exist. Right. Again, it will search for the case insensitive. Okay. It is like case sensitive. Right. So let me try doing this for case insensitivity, whether this will work or not. So if I use small n in the name, okay, and if it returns true, we can say this is case insensitive, otherwise this is case sensitive. So I think this is case sensitive, but let's see how this works. It is taking time to save the flow, but still fine. We need to wait. See, since this is a cloud flow, we don't have any other choice. We can't bypass this saving, otherwise you will not be able to run the flow, right? So still it is saying true, meaning as I said, this is case insensitive. So this is case insensitive. Okay, I searched Okay, this was not saved, looks like. Let me try again. So this is how you have to progress. Okay, my bad. I must be forgot to say update, save. Then my earlier statement may be incorrect if this returns a false. And yes, it is returning a true. So what I stated is fine. So name, meaning however you wants to write, it will check for the exact name of key or exact value of key, but in case sensitive. This complete operation is in case sensitive, right? Then next function that you can use with the collection. Sort we have not seen, reverse we saw, but sort is not required. Okay. So now there is something called empty function. Even every time you can see that this gives me the different order. Okay. So however it is, we will see the list of functions. So what empty is going to do, it will check, okay, if an object or array or string is empty or not. That's it. So whenever you have to check whether it that whatever the slicing you have done, okay, whatever the formulas you have applied, that is going to return any kind of object or not. So if you use the empty function, it will give us the result in true and false. So this is what the information function contains, is again information function. Okay. So there is something called intersection. So intersection function, if you use, so it returns a single array or object that has common element between arrays or objects. So if you want to get the common element between two arrays, so you will use intersection. It will return the common elements. It will return the common elements. This is what the function. So it could be anything. It could be object. It could be array. It could be string. Right. Then there is something called union function. So you will be able to use this function whenever you have to append the two different collections. Let's say I have a data, meaning see, I will use union here. So union, right? And first collection I will pass as a 1, 2, 3, 4. Second collection I will pass as a 5, 6, 7, 8. Right. So these are the two different types of collections I passed. This expression has a problem. What kind of problem it has? Return a single array or with all the elements are in either array or object passed to this function. Right. We passed the array. Okay. So here it may work like this. Create array. Create array. Now let me try using this. Okay. So literal array literals, we can't use square bracket directly in the function. So instead of that, if we use the method create array, what it will does, it will combine both the arrays, and it will return the single array. Okay. So input you can see, meaning see output and inputs will be same for compose type. So it has combined all the data. Now let me make some changes for your understanding. Okay. So let's say we have few common elements. 2 and 3 is common between both the data sets, both the arrays. Then how it will work? Right? Then how it will work. So if I update, if I save, and if I run. So union always returns a unique values. If the values are getting duplicated between the two different arrays or two different collections, it will remove those values. It will remove those values, and it is going to return as a unique value. So whenever you wanted to get the unique value from any type of collection, so you can put that collections in the union. This is a common approach, and you will be able to get the unique list of values. Okay, so we are seeing these functions. Okay, see, creating the collection and all, everything is fine because we are pretty much familiar with the Power Automate now. So if you have gone through all my playlist for the Power Automate, so here contents we saw, empty we discussed, if it is going to return, then length, reverse we discussed. So we will discuss what is the first and what is last. What is the first and what is the last. Even sort we discussed, it will sort in ascending, descending order, whatever. Union we have discussed, combine two collections, removing duplicates. This is what the purpose of union. Intersection, again we discussed, return only the items common between both the collections. Okay. Now let me edit and let me go to this. Let me try to figure out. So first function. After union, we will see first and last. So you may want to get the only first object. Okay. Slicing you can do by the number. Okay. So we have an array. But if I say first of, and then this dynamic, data from dynamic content, if I pick the array. So this is going to give me, see, if I use square bracket and put the zero, meaning after the variable definition, it will give me the same result, first result, but how you will get the last, right? So you need to do some kind of calculation. So instead of that, if you use the method called first, you will be able to get the first element of array, first element of string, first element of object. However, it is going to work. So here, first you can see return the first element from the past in array or string. So this is going to work with array or string. Similarly, last is going to return as the last object, whatever will be there in array or string. Then we have something called a skip. Return an element in the array starting at an index count. So how many you wanted to skip is what something you are going to specify. If you say skip to, it will skip the first value, skip second value. So let me try this. Okay, I'll type the function instead of writing every time. I will just change the function name and skip, give the comma, and it says number of objects to remove from the front up, meaning from the top side. Okay, I'll say 2. So what, 0 and first element will be 0 the index and first index element will be ignored, and it will start giving the data from next element. So let me try running this. Right. So this is what my input. So it has started with the Sivraj. But if you go to my original collection, it is started with the Brahma Pachude, then Adityaman, and then Shivraj. So what it does, it gives skip the first two elements because I passed skip for 2. Right. Then if I come, so the next method is like, okay, first last we saw. Okay. There is something called a join. Okay. So you may wants to combine the element of array in and get the output in a string. Right. So you can use join here. So I will say join. Okay. Then if I say join and I will say the comma will be my separator or the space, pipe space will be my separator delimiter. I'll say update. Why this is not update? Invalid expression. Why? Okay, let me start with the join using the function called join. This is what the okay. So I used I got what was wrong in earlier. So I used a double quotation. You cannot use double quotation. You should use the single quotation. If I say update, say save, and see the result. How the result will be a single liner text for all your objects or all your. So this is how, right? This is how the data will be folded using the join method. So what it is done, it is just giving us the string of all the elements of object, right? So now if I go down, if I go, okay, before conversion function, so we will see the logic functions also in later videos. Okay, so here we discussed the join. So now we are left with the chunks. So you may want to split. Okay, so I have 6 elements. I wanted to split the array in another 2 more array. So here the length of chunk. Each chunk should contain 2 elements. This is what my requirement. I will say update. I'll just save and run. Let's test the output. Even I never tested this. This is, but looks like this is a beautiful function. But I'm interested to see. Okay, array will be split in the array. Looks like, right? So what it does, it picks the 2 objects, created a separate array. Again, it picked the 2 object, created a separate array. Again, it picked the 2 object, created a separate array, right? So this is how the chunk function works. Nice. So this is all about the function. So chunk contains empty, first, last, length, reverse, skip. Okay. So now we are left with the take function. Let me use that take function. Okay. Sort we saw, union we saw, intersection we discussed, join and item and take we will discuss. Okay. So if I come here, okay, my requirement is that I wanted to take first n number of elements from array. So I'll use the take function. Okay. I'll pass the array here. Array or string, whatever you wanted to pass. Any type of collection, the number of objects to take from collection. And I will say I wanted to take first 3 only. I don't want to take more than that. The way we perform the top n operation, similarly, we are performing the top here using the take. But the function name is different. Operation will remain same, no matter what kind of technology you are using. Right. So it will give me the first 3. Rest of the items will be eliminated. Right. To take top n values, we will use the take function. And item is the function when you are going to loop through this. So item is the used. Okay. So now let me show you this also. Okay. So this is what the compose. This is where this is the collection. And let me say I don't want to use the compose anymore. Here I'm going to use the loop. Okay, fine. I will add from controls, I will add apply to each. Apply to each. Okay. And obviously at the first time, meaning and whenever you apply the loop, it will ask to pick the data on which you wanted to loop. Okay, you defined. So now I'll pick this inside this, right? So I'm using compose inside the apply to each, and I'm going to show you just an item, just an item. So if you go here in dynamic content, you will see something called current item. you will see something called. So this is how it is going to define items and all. Instead of this, if I use only item, item is not going to take any kind of argument, but it is going to refer for the current item, right? And let's test this. This loop will run for the 6 times. Okay, still this is saving. Once the saving is done, we will see how we can. Okay, so you can see the output of this. So this is the first element. It has picked the first element, right? And number of times. So item is going to refer for the current item. That's it. This is what the purpose of collection method item. Second item, if I click on this, this is going to refer for the second item, right? So this is how it works. I may want to slice the data. I may want to slice the data. Now we have a objects here, right? In item, we have a objects. I typed, but it picked like another one, current item. So I will say item. Okay, sorry. Let's say item of first element. Okay, or I can say item of name. I would like to slice. So this is the way we used to work with object, right? So let me save. Okay, what it says name. Name is not there. Yes, it is there in each of the. Okay, let me try to run this. Let's see the error, what kind of error it throws. Then and then only we will be able to figure out. Oh, it is not giving the error. It worked, right? So for first time, it is giving me the first. For second time, it is giving me the second name. It is giving me the third name, right? So this is how item. Instead of using the current item, even you if you use the first only item method, that is going to work. Okay. There is something called items also. There is something called items also. So if you use the items, okay. So if I go and use the items, so you need to pass apply to each step name. That's the condition. So if I use items, you can see the definition. When used inside a for each loop, this function returns the current item for the specified loops. But we will see the different types of purposes for the items also. Items method, right? So this is all about the collection function. So you should know what kind of functions to be used with the, what kind of collections. So then only you will be able to work effectively with your data sets in Cloudflows. So I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Do not forget to subscribe WebChamp and learn the technology easily. Thank you. Happy learning.